Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's a story time, sit back and enjoy. I am going to tell you a short story about, well, you will find out soon enough. Chapter 1.
Alex was sitting at the back of the class, without paying attention to lecture, until Professor said,
"So, you have a month to hand out your final project."
Then, he dismissed the class, and started to pack his books. While Alex had no idea what was going on. So, he unsurely approached the professor, and tried to find out what was he talking about in the lecture. Professor knew that Alex had not listened the lecture at all, and he was in a hurry. So just to get rid of him, Professor told him,
Any building with complex structure design will be accepted, as long as they are complex, and if they are not, you won't be graduating.
And Professor quit from the class, while Alex stood there with a confused face. Then, after a while, Alex figured out an idea about how he is going to make his final project complex, and then sprinted towards his dormitory, cheerfully.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chapter 2.
I was enjoying reading my book in my room, for my ancient literature class for the next week, when suddenly, Alex came bursting in. And he was so excited. It was so rare of him coming back so excited from his class, and I couldn't help myself but to ask him about his excitement. "Hey, Alex?" He didn't reply back. I waited for an answer, but nothing came out of his mouth. In fact, he did not even glance to anywhere else, except his book, until his phone was buzzing. It was his mother. He ignored her and went on with his book. So, I asked again from him, but this time, I was determined to get an answer. "Hey, Alex, what is this excitement about?"
"I thought you never going to ask. You know, how I always have been talking, that it's better to create something practical rather than artificial."
I stood up, and nodded my head and whispered, "Yes?" and went over his desk.
"Well, I had a task to have any real building, as my final project, except, with one condition, only, that it has to be complex."
"That's great. So, which building do you have in mind?"
"Ah. There are so many. In my collection book, it's so hard to choose one."
It was his mother again. He ignored her once more, and went on with his book. It was late, so I went to bed, while Alex sat on his desk. The next morning, I wake up earlier, and looked for Alex. He was not in his bed was made, nor he was on his desk. I wondered where he might be. There were no classes for him today. Then, my gaze fell upon the ripped pages of the book that was on the desk. I sat down, and started to scan through Alex's collection book. There were many pictures of historical and other varieties of buildings, with their schemes and history. Then, I went to my morning class. At school, our teacher didn't show up, so the class was cancelled. On my way back to home, I came across with Rahim, a friend from university, told me that he was going to Greece with his theatre club, and gave me an invitation ticket. When I arrived home, I found Alex on his bed, sleeping. There were dark spots under his eyes. Seemed like he had been crying. A day has passed, but Alex was still in his bed, didn't come out of his room. So, I went to his room, and asked if he was alright. Then, he sat down and started to cry, and told me that his father has passed away. I told him, so sad to hear that, and Alex asked for me to leave. I was also devastated, couldn't focus, and didn't know how to help to my best friend, couldn't read. Alex comes from a small north village. He grew up in a low family class. His mum was an elementary school teacher, but then, she quit her job after giving birth to Alex, and she homeschooled him. His father was an auto mechanic. His father and mother sacrificed their life to give Alex a better life, but his father couldn't get to see his son doing better in life. It was pretty late, but I couldn't sleep, so I went for a stroll. There was no one on the street, not even cars, so I walked freely on the highway, instead of pavement, with my headphones on, and suddenly...
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Chapter 2.